Welcome to the Upshot, Multi-World Disc Golf's podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. I'm the editor, Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me is Josh Mansfield. Got a special episode for you today. It's kind of a hybrid. We're not going to call it part of our interview series, although it is an interview, but it felt like it needed its own primetime slot on a Thursday. So we are welcoming in today the CEO of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, Jeff Spring. He's been on many, many times. But we're also bringing in the majority owner of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, Todd Rainwater. And Todd got involved with the Pro Tour back about 5-6 years ago in the Steve Dodge era and has been continuing to support the business with more capital infusion, further investments over the course of all of that time. So Todd Rainwater is the son of Richard Rainwater, who was a famous investor and philanthropist who died a few years ago. Richard Rainwater was estimated to be worth about $3 billion at least at one point. He gave a lot of his money away. Todd Rainwater, also very wealthy and also an investor, and one of his investment options has been disc golf. So he has been involved with the Pro Tour for some time now. Josh, I've been looking forward to having Todd Rainwater on the show for a long time. So are you looking forward to the chance to talk to him about his decision to get involved with what at the time was a tiny, fledgling, totally unproven business?
Yeah. I really am. And it's funny you say you wanted to talk to Todd for a long time. I've been on the show for 2 seasons now. And I think I remember you saying like a couple months in that you wanted to get Todd on to do an interview with him eventually. So this, I know, has been something that you've been looking forward to. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a really fundamental part to understanding the Disc Golf Pro Tour is understanding the ownership structure behind it. And for those, especially who haven't been around the sport as long, this might shed a little bit of light into a little bit of the history of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Yeah,
we're going to talk with them about the early years, the decision to bring Jeff Spring on as CEO, and, basically ask Steve Dodge to step aside. Whether the tour is making money yet. We heard earlier this year that they were projecting a profit, so we'll ask about that. And a whole lot more. So lots to learn, lots to hear from the business side of the Pro Tour. And Todd Rainwater and Jeff Spring join us next. The Upshot is presented by Pound Disc Golf, makers of the best bags in the sport. The new smaller pound bag, the Rufus, is out now. Round 2 production is underway. You can go over to pounddiscgolf.com and check out some brand new colorways and many options available for your Rufus look and feel. Custom Rufus packs coming soon. Go to pounddiscgolf.com and get yourself a Rufus today. Joining us now on the Upshot is many-time guest and CEO of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, Jeff Spring. And for the first time, we are very excited to welcome in the majority owner of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, Todd Rainwater. Todd, Jeff, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me back, and happy to be coming to you from snowy Vermont.
Snowy Vermont. The ski season is here. I'm excited to hear that it is snowy there. I hope to be there in a month or two. So appreciate the time, and let's jump right in here. First of all, I guess it'd be great to just get a quick update, Jeff, on, overall. I don't think we've had you on since the season has ended. How do you look back at the 2022 Disc Golf Pro Tour season and how things went this year?
Well, as you know, I could probably go on for quite a bit. There's so many different parts and pieces to the tour, to our partners, to stakeholders in the tour. So, generally, I'll try to keep it short and sweet in saying that it was another successful year, that we saw a lot of growth across all of our sectors. Media-wise, I know that the Upshot has always been very interested in media development. We've been feeling very proud about the advances of our live broadcast. We really focused on live and development of live this year and feel like it paid off. We were able to do some new things with feature card broadcasts where we had second streams, more cameras than ever, some in-season upgrades to live streaming equipment and infrastructure, help deliver higher quality signal more often. So things are going in the right direction. More partnerships than ever, more players than ever, higher purses than ever. So I think, our strategy these first 3 years have really been focused on growth, sustainable growth, successful growth, and we're hitting our mark so far. So
fantastic. I mean, I want to go back actually and ask Todd, when did you first make what you would consider to be a substantial investment in the Pro Tour? And this was back in the Steve Dodge era. Was this day one with Steve? Did you take time to wait and see on any of that? There's not necessarily a ton of documentation on how all of this has played out over time. That's why we're so glad to have you on. So when did you first really get involved?
That's a really good question. I think it was in 2017. It might have been 2016. I'm not really sure, but it was a year or two, I think, after the tour began. And Steve came to me, mentioned that the tour needed a little bit of support, and I joined in. I think that there were about maybe 5 or 6 others at the time that were a part of the business. And I joined in, and it's been fun ever since.
And a follow-up to that, then, when Steve presented you with that, what is it that prompted you to purchase, the Disc Golf Pro Tour in, was it 2017 that you took over as the primary owner, the majority owner of the Pro Tour?
Right. That's 2019, right, Jeff?
2019.
Yes.
Okay.
Steve again approached, I think, most all of the investors, and mentioned that there was some capital needs for the business. And I think that some of the people turned it down, others were a little bit uninterested, and I think that I just maybe was a little bit more interested than the rest of them, and it ended up making a deal for it. It was a time when I saw the tour was struggling. Steve had put so much hard work into this, and I couldn't see it failing. I just, to me, it was almost not only just a good investment, maybe as far as your traditional type of investment, but at the same time, I did it, in large part just because I just felt that I really had to save what he had created.
Yeah, I've always been kind of curious about the timeline because I've heard lots of stories about 2019 and where things were. That, money had basically dried up, that it was looking like we might see the end of the tour. How were you close at any point to saying forget it? Like this is good money after bad? And what strings came along with the decision to recapitalize what at the time was essentially a failing business?
Well, I mean, yes. I mean, there was times when we were negotiating when I, kind of felt like, maybe, it wasn't going to work. But I really did all I could to make it happen. Steve wanted to get something that he felt was worth his while. I don't know what more to say to that. There was times when it really was indeed close to folding, but I don't think Steve would have let it fold. I think Steve would have, if it wasn't me, I think he would have found somebody else to take care of his baby. And that's every time I see him, I say, listen, man, you're the one that did the heavy lifting and we're just taking care of your baby. And I hearing the stories about what he went through and comparing it to what we go through now, God bless him. He really put a lot of work and just more into this than people think. So I'm proud to say that it all worked out and happy to be here.
That brings up, I think, a really interesting point, because you talk about it, I think, in two very different facets. You have the money side about, as it is a traditional investment in the sense that you've purchased a business. But on the flip side, it is also something that one of our subscribers described as kind of like a passion project. It's something that you see the value in for the sake of the organization and the sport. So, it's clear that by being an investor prior to that purchase and then through the purchase agreement, you came in with your eyes wide open to what what business you were buying. So what were your projections for when you're hoping to turn a profit? What do you imagine the Disc Golf Pro Tour to look like in 5 to 10 years after you purchased it? Do you feel like we're on track for that? I mean, I don't know if there's one specific question, but kind of looking at that, what did you see as the long-term investment in the Pro Tour, and are you on track for that?
I think so, yeah. So I originally would say that I expected it to break even within 3 to 5 years. I think we are on track for that. And yes, as far as the passion project that you mentioned, that's why I do it. I mean, I have other investments. I have investments maybe that are more traditional, more solid, if you will. They return more. But this was something that I felt at my age, I felt that I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to make an investment that maybe, even my own advisor said, this is not your best investment, Todd. And I said, no, I understand that, but this is for the people. And this is something that I'm very passionate about. And, I want to make a difference here. I want to be able to leave this world and to make a difference and to know that, there are, whether it's the people that are playing that couldn't play otherwise, whether it's the people that are working that couldn't work otherwise in this sport, people that, can follow their dreams. And then, of course, providing a product that all of us can enjoy on the weekends is something that that's what I'm in it for. Not really here for the money. I told that to so many people. I'm here to like I said, to try to make a difference and to employ people, to allow people to play their sport, and to provide a product that everybody can enjoy. So,
I remember in 2020, obviously we had COVID, so much uncertainty at the time, Jeff, that, you'd taken over in late 2019. And so this is your first year really running the tour. And, we kind of, disc golf is able to start coming back in June. And, Disc Golf Network was one of the big focuses that year of like, okay, we're going to try to establish this live streaming service, or sort of reestablish, because Steve Dodge started something called Disc Golf Network, very different looking than it looks today. And I remember that the projections that year were for 1,500 subscribers with 3,000 people on the high end. And I don't remember off the top of my head what you actually got to by the end of 2020, but it was many, 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 many thousands more people than that. Jeff, as you look back on that now and kind of how far things have come, does it still surprise you that this has become as big as it has in terms of just specifically the media arm?
It's looking back at the start, it certainly is a surprise. I think now that we've seen the audience adopt the live broadcast as, their go-to a lot of times for, watching the sport. I'm not surprised anymore. And in fact, we're projecting, growth, I think confidently going forward, whether it's next year or 2-3 years down the line. But I mean, we went 10 times bigger than projected the first year. As you mentioned, 3,000 was the high end goal. We actually hit that at Waco before we suspended the tour. And we got to 15,000 by the end of the first year. So, I mean, that still kind of resonates as a bit of a surprise with me. But after that, we kind of readjusted. And so, now the growth is exciting to see. And I think that we believe that delivering the all of the high end content in terms of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, pro majors, and as well as an improved experience for our spectators and our viewers and our subscribers, the Disc Golf Network, that's what's going to fuel the growth going forward. And that's really where the investment's focused on, whether it's on, human infrastructure, human resources, or, as I mentioned, the equipment and the live streaming infrastructure that we've put our resources into. But it's been a wild ride for sure.
When we talked to you at the beginning of this year, Jeff, you said that you thought that the tour was going to turn a profit this year. Did that happen?
Not quite. We mid-season, as I mentioned, decided, hey, we do need to make a significant investment. In fact, Todd and I have a great working relationship, and on the higher level projects, especially where Todd has interest, passion, and really some good insight. Sometimes we talk and it's, hey, can we get this done? Will this be beneficial to the tour? And if so, is this the time to do it? And all those factors kind of aligned to make a bigger investment. And when we talk about the ability to do those featured broadcasts and bring a second stream to our subscribers, when we talk about the ability to go live and have a higher level stream quality at Maple Hill, for instance, or broadcast the Beaver State Fling live, it's precisely because of those in-season investments. Now, does that delay, an eventual break-even moment? Perhaps. It's maybe not forecasted, but I also think it assures it as well, in that we are investing not just short term to try to get that moment of maybe break even and turn the corner into profitability, but really to see a bigger wave when we do get there. And I think that wave is coming right down the pipeline for us. So,
how do you manage growth projections in a post-COVID era? Because we know that the growth during COVID was extreme, and now it's kind of cooling off a little bit. So how are you managing then the Disc Golf Pro Tour's kind of growth projections for what it anticipates to do in short-term future as well as long-term?
Yeah, that's been really hard. And I think that kind of goes towards the kind of flexibility that, we have at the top level, at the ownership level, because, coming through 2020 and 2021, the numbers there were really, really hard to base a future budget on. In fact, I think talking to people in the industry, 2022 has been a year of a bit of surprise. You knew that the acceleration was going to slow down, but you don't know how much, where, when, what products throughout the industry. And so I think that acceleration is the growth is still there, right? So the sport's still growing. Pre-pandemic, I think it was anywhere from 10 to 20% across different metrics, different sectors of our industry. I think we're headed back towards that level, but we're not, and we may be losing a small percentage of that huge, like 250% growth, that we claimed. But, I think that the takeaway is that 2022 will be the first year since 2019 that you can maybe base a budget on that, growth percentages may be in the realm of accurate. When we look at 2023, I feel that those numbers are going to reflect a little bit more of a steady trend, right? And so it has been hard, Josh. And I think that a lot of people, kind of maybe under projected for 2021 and then over projected for 2022. At least that's, I hear similar stories from partners and other colleagues in the industry, but we're hopeful to, continue, especially it's not a bad time in our life cycle as a company to be there, because, what can you use, first year, second year that's going to be reliable in year 10? I think, have good numbers in year 3. We feel great about, where our, revenue streams are, very solid revenue streams. We're understanding more about our costs, about the live streaming industry, about different vendors we work with. So what it really delivers is something that we can be confident in going into years 4 and 5, which are pretty crucial years. We're expecting a lot out of the business and out of our team. And we're excited for that challenge.
Todd, Is it difficult for you to continue to have to capitalize the tour? I mean, especially now that you've seen the substantial growth, and obviously revenues have got to be up. I don't even want to try to guess, probably 1,000% or more from, when you were first investing in this business, probably more than that. But you're continuing to have to put more money in. Is that a hard choice, or does it feel like now you look at this and say, wow, we have a real chance to build a major sports product here?
I would say, on the one hand, it's a challenge in the sense that, it is a lot of money. I'm not going to lie, but from the beginning, I knew that this would be about what it would take. And I think as time goes on the flip side, it actually is a lot easier because I, come to the events and I see the 40 people working for us and I see the fans and I, see all the players and the new players and everything like this. And I, realize that this is kind of become larger than me, larger than life. And it's something that, I feel like, I made a commitment to do, I want to do, and that, I cannot give this up no matter what challenges that may come my way. That's not a free pass there, Jeff, to do whatever you want forever. But it is, like I said, it's much bigger than me, much bigger than everybody. And to see this dream go away right now it would kill me. So I'm in this, I'm in it, for the long run. And I'm very happy to have the team that we have, Jeff and all of the people that work for me was at the DGP championship. And it's just, all these people, men and women putting in such long hours for the group, so dedicated, so kind, so passionate for the sport and wanting to provide such a great product. It's a pleasure and an honor.
Todd, sorry, Josh, really quick. Todd, are you willing to share how much you've invested in the Pro Tour at this point?
It's a lot, but it's fine. It's, I would prefer not to go into those details, but sure. I can say, we hope to break even soon, and that's what's important. I'm excited about that possibility. I know, again, Jeff mentioned this year was the year that we wanted to break even. And I've got to say, I'm actually in part responsible for us not breaking even. So I came to Jeff. We had some equipment upgrades that were on our list to do over the years. And we kind of had it all planned out. And I said, listen, I know you wanted to break even this year. And I know that you make 99% of our decisions, but I want to push this forward an extra, year or two ahead. So, we've had so many people comment on our live stream or something like that and things like that. And so I said, listen, we got to make this the best possible that we could have it. And so our cameras are upgraded to the end of the line. They are the top of the line cameras. They have every input. We've got two little dongles with the hockey puck, the personal hotspots or whatever on there that are plugged into the Ethernet port. We have another one plugged into the Wi-Fi port. They're all 5G. The cameras have all the 5G internal modems that they can't have in them. I keep bothering. There's a 5G Verizon modem that's not out yet. That's an internal modem that I keep bothering them. LiveView is the name of the company that we use. It's the top of the line company. I keep on asking them, when's it coming? When's it coming? When's it coming? And so, there's not a moment that goes by that I'm not thinking about more bandwidth and keeping the cameras from ever buffering and to be able to provide that best product that we can for the end users. But we're doing our best, and it's exciting.
Two questions that kind of follow up on things that you'd mentioned there. The first of which, again, if you're not comfortable answering, then that's fine. Mm-hmm. What you said, I know we've described you as the majority owner, but what percentage of ownership do you hold in the Disc Golf Pro Tour?
It's a very significant percentage. It's over 60%. There's a lot of the former owners still own some of the company, and it's other various people. One thing that I have told Jeff all along is that I want the people that join our company to be, as many of them as possible, to be co-owners of the company. This is about incentivizing everybody, having everybody have skin in the game, and everybody to feel like that this is our collective baby. I mean, because it really is. It's, I see comments on the message boards about people who talk about, okay, they're criticizing the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and then somebody else jumps in and say, we got to do it. We've got to support this. If we want to support the game, we want to support live disc golf, we've got to jump in. I view those people as very similar. They're making an investment like we made an investment, to be able to increase the revenue, better the product, and to all do our part on this ship to keep it afloat, to keep it going, and to get us to a point where we can, like I said, we can break even. Everybody can have a job, and that's what I want. I'm not here to make money. I told Jeff, I want to be able to break even, get my money back that I put into the tour, and then just come to the events and have profit sharing and have everybody just enjoy themselves and give hugs and high fives. And that's what I'm here for. So, and they sound a little silly, but that's my top level dream. And then I pass it on to Jeff.
That's the top level.
Yeah,
dream.
that's the top level dream. And I pass it on to Jeff, and he does the hard work. So.
Well, I think that kind of answers, but just to formally ask, how active are you in the business decisions then? You had said, that Jeff makes 99% of those decisions. Are there anything in particular that you see as your role besides the high fives and handshakes in terms of business decisions?
High fives, handshakes, the live view upgrades, I guess I'm into. No, it is almost exclusively his. Like I said, I told him when he originally came on board, I said, listen, when my dad was involved in businesses, he went and he called them the Michael Jordans of the business. He gave them incentives, and he went on to just let them do what they wanted. And he would come in later on and celebrate the good times with them. But for the most part, he left the Michael Jordans alone. And that's what I'm doing with Jeff is he's in my opinion, the Michael Jordan of this job, and letting him do what he does and hire other people. That's the other thing too. My dad was very much into leadership and seeing that leadership hire others. And, I've got to say, like I mentioned before, going to the events and seeing all the people that we hired, it was such a blessing meeting each and every one of them, because I could really feel that they were the right people for the job, that they were the best people at what they did. Of course I'm a little bit biased, and I'm going to say that about my own company, but I'd like to believe that we've got a really good group.
So, one of the things that I've kind of been interested in, and I've talked to you about this, Jeff, at some points. What's the revenue split right now between various verticals of the business? Not necessarily how much you're making, but percentage-wise, how much is coming in from Disc Golf Network subscriptions versus merchandise sales versus ticket sales? Ballpark. You're muted.
Sorry about that.
All good.
We really get we put the Disc Golf Network subscriptions in all media revenue, and that really brings in around half of our revenue. And there are three other legs to that table, so to speak, which is my favorite analogy to it. And on-site revenue has continued to grow, as well as partnerships, ad sales, so to speak, and then of course retail and merchandise. We have some other revenue streams that kind of get lumped in and contribute, but those are the four main revenue streams that we really point to and look at and try to grow year over year. And I'd say the other three revenue streams there about 50%, and then media revenue is about 50% too, if that makes sense, Charlie.
No, I'm muted. Absolutely. Speaking of sponsors,
did you have a follow up, Charlie? I was muted as well.
I got a follow up. Yeah.
Okay, all right, great.
We can all mute and sit here together and smile. Sponsorship stuff. This has been interesting. I mean, you had particular, like last year, 2021, you had these splashy announcements about sponsors for the Pro Tour Championship. And there were similar sort of brand name sponsors for this year. But one of the things that I noticed is that they weren't the same companies as we saw last year. Has it been difficult to find longer term deals with outside sponsors? Obviously, things can be going well with disc golf sponsorships, but we don't see LL Bean back in 2022. Should we be concerned about that?
Well, LL Bean was actually back. They increased their spend with us from 2021. As a returning partner, we didn't make as splashy an announcement per se, but they were back with us, spending about double what they spent in 2021, and we're really looking forward to grow that partnership. We have big hopes for the future of our relationship with LLB, and they've been great so far. Their spend, on advertising is enormous across, their entire company and across the media landscape. And so we're a very small drop in the bucket for them, if it's even noticeable up and down their entire company. But that said, I think that disc golf for some larger corporations is a sport that they want to get to know. So we take a crawl, walk, run approach. And I think that we're getting into the walk to maybe speed walk and run with some of these companies. We returned Johnsonville. We had the Johnsonville Tunnel at the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship. And then, we really, kind of thought about the lead there, and Barbasol is a really great fit for us. It's a product that's very different than mortgage, and a lot more affordable, a lot more use every day, and had a lot better tie-ins, I think, to the disc golf audience. So we were really happy to bring Barbasol on. We expect to return, these partners, these non-endemic partners, as we say, for 2023, and start building in multi-year deals. It's certainly a goal. Can't make any promises, but it's a goal. We want to do it, and all the way back to kind of, there's a common thread here from Todd's mid-season, investment in kind of strategy play here, which I just think works brilliantly for us. I mean, our takeaways from our performances of the product that we've put on ESPN when we've distributed post-production media, it's been difficult because we want to show the sport, we want to show competition, but we also want to contextualize. We know it's not live, and so there's kind of this kind of go-between that we've really worked hard with really talented professionals, whether it was with the Jomez team, whether it was with some of our vendors, Bluefoot, Joe Canali, some of our partners that we've worked with that deliver these shows to ESPN. But it's just hard to hit the nail on the head. There's nothing like live sports. And our goal long-term is certainly to elevate our live product, to distribute that nationally, internationally, or to large streaming services, to bigger audiences, to some of these larger corporations. And in order to do that, we need reliability of technology. We need to build our team out because disc golf's specialized. We can't just hire any crew to come cover disc golf. We've worked with people who have produced broadcasts on the PGA Tour, and it's even different from that. And especially with our budget, we have to be experts in this niche that is very hard to be an expert in, and very hard to get the funding to get the equipment and the expertise and to build the team that can do what we do. So all those pieces coming together, accelerated, kind of by this push, we now are getting feedback from, some of these wider, media corporations that, hey, we're interested in your live product. And I feel that is a common thread to what your question is, Charlie, sponsorship, because whether or not we like it, there's a lot of corporations that see, breakthroughs in volume in traditional media as kind of proof in the pudding, if you will. Sure, you can have a big YouTube audience. Jomez has the biggest in our sport. We've got 3 other companies, us, Gatekeeper, GK, that are actively pushing well above 100, Central Coast above 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. But, there's not as many companies like Epic Games who target YouTube audiences. And, Epic is one partner that we were able to bring in this year that we hope to return again. So hopefully that gives you a sense. I think that as we push forward, it costs a lot of money to make these post-production pieces that get distributed at the ESPN. Whereas we want to put the money into the live product, be able to simulcast that, distribute that product, in a wider volume while retaining the Disc Golf Network content for the subscribers. So overall, we believe that will deliver some of these bigger sponsorships, not just for a couple of events or, kind of at a lower level, but starting to push and make inroads because, out of those revenue verticals, Charlie, we do see sponsorship being one that can go up, catch media, maybe surpass media, and be a big driver of forward progress for the tour and for the sport too.
Shifting gears a little bit in talking about that expansion, What do you see as the long-term plan for international disc golf on the Pro Tour?
Well, I guess I'll start, but I'll also let Todd jump in too, because one of the few initiatives that Todd does really like to jump in and be a part of it is the international expansion. And from his perspective, it's a market that is worth considering. And obviously, last year we were able to get over to Europe and broadcast from Norway and broadcast from Finland. And, our plans are to continue that and hopefully expand in the future. We are working with some more partners over there. Last year, we really just wanted to see what the scene was like. And that's not just with the fans and the players and the events, but also with media companies. And so we were able to make some connections and really understand a little bit more about European disc golf. But internationally, I think it's a great opportunity for the Disc Golf Pro Tour brand. It's not, just the U.S. North America brand. It's a worldwide brand, and we see that vision for the tour. And I'll kick it to Todd, just, if you have anything to add to that, because I know that your interest and belief in that market has spurred on our own efforts to expand.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love Europe. I love the players. I love the courses there. And I love the passion there. You've seen the images of the European Open on I believe they were on the national television, one of the ABC, NBC, CBS Live there broadcast. I'm not sure if it was this past one, but they have been in the past, and you see how professional they are. That's the other thing about Europe that I absolutely love. One of the things that I've tried to bring to the Disc Golf Pro Tour is more professionalism. Trying to make the sport a sport that is viewed in the same light as any other really major sport. As you know, if you take our sport way back, it's not always had the most professional. People don't view it as professional as other sports for whatever reasons. But they when you go there and you say I play ice hockey, or you say I play disc golf at a dinner party, if you will. Or wherever you are there in Finland, they're both viewed as the same thing. They're viewed as you are an athlete. If you are a disc golfer, you are just as fit and able and professional as any other athlete in any other sport. And so just everything about Europe appeals to me. Whether it's the fans, the way that it's how serious and professional they are. The courses and everything. So it's an honor to get over there and to get some courses under our belt and to see how it goes. And we're back in 2023 and hopefully we'll be back for many years to come.
Spectatorship has grown enormously. Frankly, the Pro Tour has driven disc golf from not really having spectators in a meaningful way to actually having people paying to come and watch. That was not the case even a few years ago. If you're seeing continued interest there, do you anticipate that you'll look to raise prices in order to kind of try to maintain smaller crowds in the sense of like enough people being able to follow the lead card, for example? I mean, it is a challenge on a lot of courses. Or do you think that you're going to try to democratize more, like keep ticket prices fairly low and try to have really big galleries? Of course, you'd love to do both, but if you had to choose, what's the priority?
Yeah, we're learning a lot about this. I think this is one area that has potential for really, really rapid growth, continual growth. I said that about sponsorships, and I think that, maybe I'd say that about everything. I'm very bullish about, where we're going. But what I would say about spectators is that it's going to be a venue by venue decision on how we ticket and structure ticket pricing. And I think that's the way it should be. For heavily wooded courses, there's just going to be less people eventually that are, on site. I think that we have courses that can deliver 5,000 to 10,000 person crowds in a well-managed, good experience, manner. But there are some courses where 2,000 people is going to be the maximum that, can have a good experience. or at least a decent one, we've started bringing in video boards, big video screens, more vendors. We're going to get back into development of more on-site games, but we did food, drink, and music this year as well. This is one of these areas where the spectators are really going to tell us what works and what they're interested in and what's going to bring them out, just by their participation and their feedback. So I think that, it's going to be a venue by venue experience, and you might see prices at wooded courses potentially rise a little bit higher depending on the event and the status of the event. Already we have different pricing for Silver Series. We have different pricing for Elite Series. And there's certainly some, pricing for majors that maybe varies as well. A lot of spectators are in it for, seeing their favorite players. So, it depends on the region maybe as well with that. And it would depend on the actual field. So, I think working with the players, we have established a players council of 7 tour card holders. We're going to be kind of hand in hand with them there on how can we help drive more spectators? The players are, our biggest stakeholder. We are always trying to work directly with them to understand what they think can be the best case scenario for turning out fans, because they're really the motivating factor there. We're trying to set the stage. People come to see them compete.
You've talked about a couple different areas like sponsorships, media, and now fans. If you had to identify, though, what you think is the most pressing issue for the Disc Golf Pro Tour in, say, the next 3 years, what would that issue be?
Todd and I might have different answers on this. But, for me, the balance of growth and sustainability is where, my answer lies. We need to continue to grow, but we have to do it in a way that's fueled by, the revenue that we're able to bring in. And I think that balance is the biggest focus that I have, at the leadership level of our team. I feel like we finally gotten to a place where we have an organization with depth of employees that have experience, that have wonderful skill sets and capabilities across, whether it's marketing, media, business administration, operations, customer service, that we have. I don't have to be, executing a certain area of the business to make sure that the critical function of that area is happening. So now for me, it's this kind of cross of sustainability and growth that I'm looking at. And I think that speaks to we don't have any one thing that we must do, but we need to keep pushing forward on these revenue verticals, which are going to grow if we can take the next step. If we can take the next step with non-endemic partners, if we can take the next step with media distribution, if we can take the next step with spectator experience and volume of spectators on site, those are the things that are really going to, benefit us. But we've got this solid team that I feel confident in that we're gonna build right on top of it. So,
Todd, how would you answer that question?
No, I think I would answer it. I think I know what Jeff was referring to there. Sometimes a little bit more pushy in regards to kind of moving things forward and not worrying about the bottom line. And I think Jeff answered the way that a good CEO, a good business person would, in terms of making sure that we grow at the right rate, that we don't do things that are beyond our means every year. But I'm going to keep pushing, though. I'm going to keep pushing from my end as far as to make things happen, on a quicker timeline than Jeff had originally, hoped for, and get a better product to the people and to the fans, to the players, as quickly as we can.
There's a lot of buzz about the Pro Tour opening up a headquarters. And so what can you tell us about that plan, and what would that look like? Is that just going to be an office space, or are we talking about going to have a disc golf course, going to have an on-site bar. I mean, the possibilities seem endless with something like this.
Yeah, I think that they are. I mean, so the buzz is rooted in reality. We are looking to find a headquarters location. We're looking right now in the Southeast primarily. This is one of those things where I think that the right opportunity will like kind of be the right accelerant to get us to the finish line. And we have a couple of very good opportunities that we're continuing to vet out. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking to shift my focus away from, the operations of, at the tournament level a little bit. I don't want to take my hand fully off the wheel, but we have got a great team to grab it. And look to the future. And part of the future is venue development, whether it's with existing venues or new venues. And when I think about the headquarters, we think about it from a venue perspective. We want it to be one of our premier venues. We want it to be one of the best professional venues in the sport for competition, including that. We would certainly want to have a home base, for our staff and for our operations. You can kind of game that out to include a lot of different things, actually, whether it's Disc Golf Network Studios eventually, whether we house, servers there, whether we, do distribution, warehousing, products, pro shop, camping, or, who knows, HOA, the list can go on. Where we actually end up will be determined by kind of the opportunity that we decide to move forward with. But, that search is starting to pick up a little bit of speed. Right now, if the right opportunity comes along, I think we can move pretty quickly. But we're hopeful in some of the venues we're kind of engaged with now. And I think it's going to be, hopefully next time we talk, I'll have, more details for you and for the audience here. But, right now, I think it's it could go a couple of different ways. And I think it would be slow development towards all these features over time. But certainly I think the vision is potentially exciting in large. And, I think that's just going to be determined by the venue. Todd, what do you think?
Oh, I would agree. Well, I think this is a good example of where Jeff and I, he kind of mentioned before that we may disagree. I'm not going to disagree on this, but I think it's a good example that says that, everything that he listed, I want yesterday. And so we're going to try to make that happen. I think that the sport absolutely needs a professional venue with it being the home of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, home of the Disc Golf Network, where players can come, where fans can come, where we can have, whether it's conferences or whether we can have tournaments or whether we can have outreach. The list goes on and on in terms of what we can provide the community. But I'm excited about it being a home base for all those, for both entertainment and for outreach and for our fans.
You two have been connected together since very early on. I mean, when you brought in Jeff to take over as CEO, although you don't make a lot of public appearances, Todd, we've long heard that, you guys are talking, you guys are working together, and, you've been backing Jeff as he kind of runs this organization. So you keep mentioning you do disagree sometimes. Where are areas where you disagree? Because clearly you have a lot in common and that you agree upon, but where do you find yourselves maybe bickering a little bit?
Oh, Charlie, I wouldn't say that we bicker. I mean, like I said, I think it's just me wanting things happening faster than they are. I dream very big. Jeff dreams very big, but a little bit more realistically maybe than I dream sometimes. But that's his job, and that's probably my job as far as, kind of the top level view is to come up with these crazy ideas and say, let's do this yesterday or whatever. But I would say that if there's one major area of disagreement, that's our major area of disagreement. Jeff, what do you think?
I mean, let me agree with that. That probably area, it's topic to topic and maybe, timeline discussions or priorities. per se. I think I'm coming usually from the perspective of, operational realities, or like understanding, if someone on our team is sick, or, like has a burden that's happening. And, it always resolved with communication. And, I do think that, we make a really good team when we're talking to our partners and talking to other stakeholders in the industry, and really enjoy kind of working together to solve those bigger top level problems. So, but 2019, we were in touch. I went to the first Nantucket Open, which is maybe something that you weren't aware of there, Charlie. But when was that? 2013, Todd?
13. Yeah, it was even before your tournaments.
Yeah, exactly. Todd and I had started keeping in touch and about scheduling, or coming up to the Green Mountain Championship, or as that progressed. And so it'd been, we'd known each other 5-6 years before we actually started working together in 2019 on this venture.
Whose idea was it for Jeff to take over?
Well, it was suggested to me by the top level people in the business that there was only a couple of names out there that they thought that would be appropriate for it, and it was Jeff and Nate Heinold, and we did our due diligence back and forth, and I think that the timing for Jeff was maybe a little bit better than it was for Nate at the time, as far as what Jeff was looking for. And so I'm excited to bring him aboard, and Nate's been a longtime partner, will always be a longtime partner, and that's the background there for you.
Awesome. Well, Todd, when you look ahead 10 years from now, how do you envision the Pro Tour and your ownership in it?
Right. Well, as I mentioned before, I wanted to get it to a point where we can grow, where we can be sustainable. Like I said, I have some crazy ideas, but honestly, as I said before, I'm not here to make money. If we can just get sustainable, the money that we make, for the most part, I want to put it all back, at least for the next several years. I'm going to take all the money that we may make over the next 5 years, put it back into the growth of the sport. And then from then on, like I said, I just really, to me, more money means really nothing to me, but more employees, more people happy, better tournaments, bigger prize money for the players. So many players are struggling, would love to get to a point where, even the bottom level players have the ability to maybe fly to tournaments on occasion. Have the ability to maybe get hotel rooms, in a large part, to be able to have lives that are more comfortable. I think that these, I guess I can call them kids, being 50 years old now, these kids put so much, hard work into this sport, and they deserve, I think they deserve a much better life with what they're giving to the game, and we owe it to them to provide an opportunity to do that, in my opinion.
All right. Well, hey, we thank you so much for both for joining us, and it's been a crazy ride. I can't say that I anticipated to see this kind of growth in the Pro Tour when we're coming out of the pandemic, but here we are. How many DGN subscribers are there now, Jeff?
I think I right around, maybe last time I told you we were right around like where we peaked out, but we were right around, we crested our goal of over 40,000. I'll put it that way, Charlie, in 2022. So. Got
it. Wow. All right. Well, thank you so much, Todd. Appreciate you giving us some of your time, and Jeff, always a pleasure.
Thanks for having us again.
Really appreciate it, Charlie and Josh. It was an honor, and really appreciate all that you guys do for the sport as well.
Todd Rainwater, Jeff Spring with us here on The Upshot. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be back with you next Tuesday right here on The Upshot.